welcome to Strictly Baseball. I'm Jacob Brown, joined here with Steve Cashin and special guest today, Mitch Roshel. He's the Assistant Director and Career Center Liaison at the Dorothy F. Schmidt College of Arts and Letters at FAU. He's guesting on the show with us today. And Mitch, we're not happy so far. If you've been listening to this show for a while, I'm a Yankee fan, Steve's a Rays fan, but Mitch is a Yankee fan as well. And we have not had the best start to the season. If you're a strictly Yankees fan, I had a Yankee banner behind my head and ripped it off the wall at the beginning of that pod. So I'm not too happy at all. Let's just say that. The hitting's been brutal, and I can rattle off some stats right here. And this really puts it into perspective. So through 15 games since 1968, the Yankees have a .210 batting average. That's the lowest since 1968. They have a .296 on base percentage. That's the lowest since 1972. .346 slug, lowest since '89, and a .642 OPS. It's the lowest since 1973. And then a few days ago, out of the 870 pitches that the Yankees have seen in the strike zone, 8% of them have been hits. So these are numbers that just don't work. They don't work at all. It's the all or nothing approach. It's the walk, homer, strikeout, and I added another one. It's a double play because that's one of the four outcomes for this Yankee offense. They're all trying to go for home runs. It's this analytic, hit the ball in the air. If you hit it on the ground, you can't get a hit stuff. We don't like it, and it's not how you play baseball. And, we can expand on this as we go on. But, Mitch, what have you been thinking so far of this New York Yankees season?
Yeah, well, it's been frustrating. First of all, it's a long season. It's a very long season, so it's not how you start; it's how you finish. So with baseball, you do have to be patient. The pitching's been good. Cole had 10 strikeouts the other day. I think they're like 10th in the league in pitching right now, like 3.6 ERA, I believe. So the pitching's been good. But the hitting is just it's terrible. They're waving at pitches. They're not hitting the ball the other way. Like you said, it's like homer or nothing. They're leaving too many guys on base. I mean, and if you look at Stanton, he's just swatting at pitches. He's a pure mistake hitter, and he's just swatting at pitches. Torres just looks so out of whack. I think that, he's playing shortstop has affected him. I think they need to move him back to second base, which is more of his natural position. And let him focus on hitting. Hicks looks terrible. So just all around, they just look so lost at the plate, and they're trying to pull everything. And so they just need to kind of figure things out and find their way.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think the Yankees are not playing the most fundamentally sound baseball right now. But when you look at their losses, it looks bad on the record book. You're 5-10, but a lot of one-run games that they've lost, 1-2-run ball games, 3-2 losses to Toronto, Baltimore, 4-3 losses. So they're just not getting the timely hits, if you want to say it. But I think the two guys that are really driving the bus for the Yankees, it's DJ LeMahieu and it's Urshela. Those two guys are consistently going the other way, finding ways to get on base. And then the key players in that lineup, Judge, Stanton, really not coming through when the bell is called upon them. So I think it's an overreaction to say that the Yankees are in trouble. You see it on social media, and I've watched every game that the Rays have squared off against them. Even though some games have been lopsided, the Yankees still have the staff, the money, the team to do it. And I think time will tell. And like you said, Mitch, it's a grind of a season. It's not 60 games. It's going to be who's patient, who's going to grind it out and figure it out. It's a long season, 162, and I think they'll be in good shape. And at the end of the day, they'll find their way back to the top of the division.
Yeah, I would be more concerned if they were having issues with pitching.
Yep.
The pitching, like you said, it's been there. They've been close games. That would really concern me. And also Britain is coming back shortly. Severino will get back in the summer. So that would really concern me more if the pitching was the issue.
I will say, though, I mean, Garrett Cole's been great. Montgomery's been up and down, but the bullpen is really what's making that overall ERA look good because they've been fantastic. But 3 through 5 in the rotation, I think, is personally still a problem. I think Corey Kluber ERA is a little misleading. He's had some starts where guys don't make plays behind him. He has to make extra pitches. He's coming out of games early. I think he'll eventually click. But I'm worried about Tyone. I'm worried about Domingo Germán. These are guys, and it makes you wonder, why didn't Cashman say, okay, let's go with the guy we know, Tanaka, instead of trading for Tyone and then paying Kluber, who hasn't pitched in 2 years, $11 million, when they also could have signed Lance Lynn, who's a 200 inning per year pitcher, and they could have traded for Musgrove, who just threw a no-hitter and has an ERA under 1 right now in San Diego. They could have done that stuff. And they're like, oh, well, we lost out on the bidding for Musgrove. Well, you didn't really give up much for Tyone, so I don't know what you were holding back on. They gave away prospects they're never going to use. They could have given away Andujar, who's stuffed in the minor leagues. He's never going to get a shot. You've got other pitching prospects that are never going to see the light of day. Why was Musgrove out of reach, or the New York Yankees? And you settle with a guy who hasn't pitched in 2 years. I don't understand it. You mentioned too, moving Glaber to second, that obviously, creates the problem. Who do you sit when Voit gets back? Is it Gio? Is it Voit? Do you take Stanton out of the lineup? Do you try and play him in the field? Because Frazier can't hit right now either. There's a lot of questions, but I think also it isn't just 15 games, because this was the case in the postseason, and this has also been the case for 150 games. I believe dating back 150 games now, the Yankees are a 500 team, and they have the same problems with hitting and with runners in scoring position. And if LeMahieu wasn't there, the stats would be pretty bad. If without him, there's nobody that hits with runners in scoring position. And if this season, if they don't win, this is all on Brian Cashman. And Aaron Boone, you can go at him and be like, oh, he's got this laid back attitude. Oh, we're going to be fine. The players are all lax. They don't seem like they care. They're all laid back, whatever. It's Brian Cashman, because he's been doing this since 2000, since O'Neill left, since Tino left. Who has he been getting? Big sluggers who don't hit like the 90s teams did. Gary Sheffield, Jason Giambi, Hideki Matsui, Alex Rodriguez. These are great hitters in the regular season. Now, A-Rod's a Hall of Famer. That's different. He's the reason they won in 2009. But these guys, he gets slugger teams that are great in the regular season. They'll hit home runs. When they get to the postseason, they can't move a runner from second base with no outs over to third. They don't get the sac fly or the RBI ground out. That's the problem I see with this team. And if they can't do it this year, I think it's all on Cashman.
Well, I agree. And, this is Cashman's team. And because, today baseball, it's a very different game. It's all analytics. So the manager really has very little role today.
Yeah.
That's why I think you see these managers who have no coaching experience being hired, because it's not the same. It's all analytics. The GM, Cashman really controls the roster. I think even the lineup, and it's all strictly numbers. It's not like when, Joe Torre was managing, the Yankees in the late 90s. So it's a very different game today with the shifts, and there's no situational baseball anymore. So the game has changed.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if to add to Jacob's statement with, there's not enough guys that are buying into the concept of going the other way and batting like those 90s teams. The Yankees, they would pick people apart. You go 1 through 9 and you're not relying on the it's all or nothing approach, where now you look at these teams with Judge, Stanton, even in times, Gio seems to find like that groove where he's trying to hit a home run every time. And as of lately, he's bought into, hey, I'm going to go the other way, get on base. But it's all analytical thinking. It's, well, if we can win games with the home run, the long ball. But I think the team needs more DJs in the lineup that can really have that hitting philosophy of, hey, I'm going to work my way on. And it slowly transcends, and that's wins you ball games. And the one game I watched the Yankees that they picked the Rays apart was the game where they beat us in extra innings. And the approach was move guys over, bunt, steal, let's get guys over, play old school baseball. And I think more and more teams are getting away from that because of the analytic side of it. And it's kind of sad. It's the manager doesn't have to do a whole lot. You plug guys in the lineup, and then it takes them from there. But to what Jacob said too, I think Cashman, it's really going to be on him if this team doesn't get it done. I think Aaron Boone's done all he can. He's had the talent. It's just, what more can you do? You can say all you want, and he has a pretty lax MO, but I don't think it's really his fault. He's gotten the players to do it. It's just, can they buy in and get it done?
And if you look at the Yankees, it's very un-Yankee like, predominantly right-handed batters, line
Yep.
up, and only one lefty starter in Montgomery. So it's very Yankee-like, and also, they say you're only strong as how you are up the middle. So if you look at Sanchez, weak defensive catcher, not really hitting much. Torres at short, and then Hicks at center. And then it's not very, I mean, you do have DJ at second, not very strong. See, to me, catching and shortstop are defensive positions first. You go with the better defensive player. And a perfect example was in '96 when Joe Torre came in. They got rid of Mike Stanley, who had a great bat, and they brought in Joe Girardi, who had, his bat wasn't that great, but he was a tremendous defensive catcher. Same thing with shortstop. So I think they sort of have it all wrong. That's what really kind of concerns me, is some of those positions are a little bit out of whack. It'll be interesting to see how long do they stick with Sanchez, and do they decide to move Torres back to second base? So, it's interesting to see what will happen.
Yeah, and I honestly think if Glaber can't hit and he continues to look like this, offload him, because I was saying this back in October, November, after they were eliminated. I said, you have to get rid of one of the all or nothing hitters in this lineup, or nothing's going to change. And what did Cashman do? Same exact lineup. I think, honestly, and I get it, Glaber Torres, 24 years old. He's a middle infielder. He's got hope. He's got years of control, cheap financials. But at the end of the day, go get someone, like you said earlier, Mitch, that can actually play shortstop defensively. Even if I'm getting a little bit less offensively, if there's a guy, I mean, listen, Joey Wendell on the Rays, he's a pain in our butt, but he puts the ball in play. He can play every position on the field. He works the at-bats. Glaber doesn't do that. There were multiple times this year already, he gets hanging changeups right over the middle of the plate, and it looks like it's a home run derby. He's on one knee fouling it off. So I get it. He's young, give him time, whatever. But I don't see the Yankees saying, okay, we're going to go get another shortstop, move Glaber to second, and then we're going to sit either Gio or Voit. They're not going to do that. So they're going to have to trade somebody. Maybe they can go try and get Trevor Story over in Colorado. Contract year, he wants out. The Rockies, they have Brendan Rodgers who can play shortstop, so they'd have second base open. Glaber Torres would be a great starting point to go get a guy like Story, who's phenomenal defensively, and he's a great bat as well. So yes, he hits a lot of home runs as well, but his average is also consistently high as well. So that's a consideration. They could obviously try and get Corey Seager in the offseason, although with Lindor's contract, that's probably going to be $400 million plus. So they might not do that. But, what do you think of this, Mitch? I've been saying this for a few weeks. Do you think the Yankees should take Judge out of the 2-hole and put him in the 3? Because my philosophy is, in the 2-hole, you only have a max 350 whatever on base percentage chance that you're going to have someone on base in front of you for your first at bat. You put him in the 3-hole. Let's say you go LeMahieu, Voit, then you got two guys who have chances to be in front of you. That's how it used to be, but it doesn't seem to be like that anymore.
Yeah, I never understood putting Judge in the 2-hole. To me, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, for years it was, you'd have your best hitter at 3, and then your, 4, 5, your power guys, and so I don't like that. I just don't understand, why they have him so, high up in the lineup. He really should be hitting like, in the cleanup hole. That should really. That's where he should be hitting. So the lineup is, it's all analytics and today, and it's just, it's a little bit too much. You can't, sure, numbers are important, but you can't strictly go by the numbers all the time.
Yeah, and they have. I'm looking at the lineup right now for tonight's game. They still have Judge in the 2-hole, but I see what you're saying with this lineup. Yeah. I get it. They wanted to get him more at bats. Let's say it comes late in the game, 9th inning rolls around, it's tie game. You have your superstar up at the plate, potential to win the ball game. Go ahead, but I think they need more, because they have DJ. He's a solid leadoff guy. Then they have Gardner in the 3-hole. They're trying to mix things up and find like continuity in the lineup. But I think having Judge down the 4, I think the 4-hole is where he needs to be hitting. It gets guys up at the top of the lineup. They get on base. Now you have nowhere to put Judge. So I think they're just trying to figure things out. Personally, I'd never liked him in the 2 spot. I think 3-4 is where he needs to be, position the lineup. But hey, that's what they pay Boone the big bucks for, and hopefully they can figure it out.
Yeah, for years it used to be, you'd have your table setters, you'd have Ricky Henderson, who had a lot of pop in his bat, lead off, and you'd have a guy like Ridley Randolph, who was a walking machine, with two of those guys, the table setters would get on, and then you'd have the big boppers. So yeah, I never really liked Judge in the 2-hole. I never really understood that.
Yeah, well, I know someone has some input. I texted him before the show. I said, Adiel, do you have anything to say before the show today? He said, Yankees suck, case closed. And he also wanted to tell you, Mitch, how much your Jets suck. And he wanted me to tell you that. So you have anything to say to Adiel?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets are, it's not easy. I'm glad I'm a Yankee fan. It's not easy being a Jet fan. And, they have all these picks coming up, but, I'm not very confident that if you look at what they've done, Darnold gone after 3 years, they ruined Darnold. I think Darnold's a great talent. They ruined him. It's not easy being a Jet fan. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, well, hopefully Zach Wilson's the guy. I mean, he's got some potential. Hopefully he can fill in there and do some wonders for the Jets. They need it, that's for sure. So, Mitch, you wanted to come on today. We got you work at the Career Center at FAU. You've helped me out a ton trying to find internships, getting hooked up. You've been a beautiful help to me over the years. And what do you have to say today about the FAU Career Center?
Sure. So FAU Career Center, we really provide a lot of great services, help students really build towards their future. So we help you with your resume, searching for internships, jobs, choose a career path, and even applying to graduate school. So we have a lot of great career events. It all starts with Handshake. Handshake is a phenomenal tool. You can search for internships and jobs. You can schedule one-on-one appointments. We can help you prepare for interviews. So the earlier you come to the Career Center, the better. It's never, searching for an internship and a job is a process. It takes time. So if you haven't claimed your Handshake account, please feel free to do so. FAU.joinhandshake.com, and we're here for you to get you hired. So feel free to to come visit us and take advantage of our services. We have a lot of get hired events coming up, career fairs. Everything's virtual now, but a lot of great events to connect you with all different types of employers.
Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of college students, they sit there, they think, I'm hot stuff. I can do this on my own. I know how to do my stuff. No, you don't. Someone needs to be there to help you out. And that's what the Career Center is for. You've helped me with my resume in the recent weeks, which is something I couldn't have done it on my own. And it's something for everyone. I mean, it's a no-brainer to go. These people know what they're doing. And it's something that can help you out, and it's free. That's the best part. They're available anytime. Mitch, you'll answer my emails whenever, and everyone's always available. And it's always great to have that over your shoulder, knowing someone's there to help you. So thank you so much, Mitch, for coming on today. Hopefully next time you come on, the Yankees are a little bit better than they are today.
Yeah, all it takes is a hot streak. Yep. If they win 5, 6, 7 in a row, then we'll forget about everything that we talked about. So it's a long season, and I'm confident that they will turn it around.
I hope so. Well, thank you, Mitch. We'll have you on soon.
Okay, take care. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
All right, Steve. So, Yankees have, they've been pretty rough. I mean, it's tough to watch, but you know what? We've been talking all about the Yankees. Your Rays did a phenomenal job over the course of the 2 series against the Yankees. Can't say anything about it. I know you're probably waiting to play something right now. Just fucking do it.
The Yankees lose, baby. Yankees lose, but I know, like, it's all fun. Obviously, head-to-head matchup. This is what we look forward to every year, because we're obviously in division fans, rivals. But People better be careful with what they're saying, though. They're going to bite their words because this team is still loaded. They're still talented. And like I said, when we were talking to Mitch, these games against the Rays, yeah, there's been a couple games that have been lopsided. I think a 10-5 matchup and then an 8-0 shutout, or 8-2. But all the other games, the Yankees, they'll find their way. And right now, yes, they're struggling. Too talented of a team to not figure it out. And if let's say we're 20 more games down the road and the same trends are happening, then I think as a fan, you can start, and the fan base can start to go into panic mode a little bit. But 15 games in, look what the Astros did. They started off 7-1. Now I believe they're 7-8 or 7-9.
Yeah.
The Braves, a favorite to win, to be one of the top teams in the NL. They're 7-9 right now. But you look at the standings. Most teams around 500, a couple above. There's obviously the standards of baseball right now with, the Dodgers that are 13-3. Red Sox have kind of caught people by storm a little bit, 11-6. But it's so early. It's young season. The Mariners are even 11, I think they're 11-6.
Yeah.
So they do the same thing every year. They go house of fire, fall apart. But still early. It's such a grind. I haven't watched a ton of baseball. Every now and then I'll turn it on for a few innings, hop around some games. It's just too long. We got so spoiled with 60 games. Now it's just, hey, you just sit down and relax, and hopefully it's a sets of 40 games for each team. And I think y'all's ball club will be just fine.
I hope so. I mean, I think, listen, the thing is with this team is if they go on a 7-game winning streak, but it's all home runs, I don't care. I mean, I want these to be base hits, doubles, whatever. They don't do any of that. And they look at pitches down the middle. I mean, the more I keep going, the more I'm going to get angry about it. But it's just so frustrating because I think they're going to go down hard in the playoffs if they make it, because they don't adjust at all. And it's all this analytics stuff. The people have the book on them. They're seeing the least amount of fastballs that they have ever. So people know, don't throw them a fastball because they'll swing and miss at a slider low and away. That's what they do. This lineup. They're all the same guy. So again, I love Glaber. Move off him because he's the same guy as Judge, Voit, Stanton, Hicks. All of them are the same guy. You got to move off some of them.
I agree. I think for not Gio, but for Glaber, it's the same approach every at bat. I watched him. I think it was Sunday. I caught the tail end of it. I woke up from a nap, and it was like the 7th inning, and they throw him the same pitch. They're working away off the plate,
right?
Outside strike, outside corner of the plate, and it's the same swing. It's the one knee. Oh, I'm gonna try, hit it 450 center field. It's not working, and like you said, they're seeing less and less fastballs because the one time that they have torched teams this year, the few times they have, it's high octane fastballs. They're ready for it. And those guys aren't missing, check at the letters. They're going to smoke you. And Judge, Stanton seeing a ton of curveballs. Those guys that aren't making the adjustments, they're going to continue to see them. The guys that are seeing a heavy dose of fastballs and they have to respect their ability to hit the off speed right now is DJ and Gio. Those two guys are they're probably playing the best baseball on the team. And given so, because their approaches have been pretty consistent. And I like Gio's approach to the plate. He's killed the Rays a few times. He's the one guy that's he goes gap to gap. DJ, same way. So more guys have to buy into that mindset, like we were talking with Mitch, and then they'll figure it out. But what you have going for you is the pitching. It's been a constant all year. Garrett Cole looks the same. Poor guy's got no help right now. He's going out there throwing shutout gems, 13 strikeouts, just nothing to back it up with no offense. So I think they'll be just fine. You have Tyone, who's had some early season struggles. Herman, dude, I don't know what planet he's on. He's had his early season struggles as well, but they'll be fine. I think the whole state of New York needs to calm down because they go on a stretch of 10 games where they go 7-3 and you'll be just fine. That you got to reiterate it.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. So some surprising stuff in the rest of the league so far. The Boston Red Sox are leading the AL East 11-6. It's a fluke. People can stop freaking out. You talk about the Yankees being a fluke at 5-10. This is absolutely a fluke at 11-6. They still don't have starting pitching. The batters they're hitting better. I mean, that's what happens when you hit better. But I mean, look at who they've been playing. They faced Baltimore for the first. They had 6 out of their 9 first games against the Orioles, and then they faced the Rays for 3, and they swept them when the Rays weren't playing well.
Yeah, Rosarena forgot to play right field, missed 2 fly balls, cost us game 2. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah.
They good luck scoring 10 runs a game for 162. That's what I look at is, they've won some close games against the Twins, but they're averaging like 9-10 runs a game so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, you just look around. I mean, when you have JD and you have Bogarts and Devers and Verdugo, those guys are going to rake. It's just going to happen. But you got to have pitching. Chris Sale's not coming back anytime soon. Rodriguez battling back. You got Evaldi, and then nothing else. So it's just, let's wait for the season to advance, and then they'll be under 500 again, and things can go back to normal. But everyone's calling, oh, this is Alex Cora. This is all Alex Cora's approach, telling the hitters to swing at pitches in the strike zone. This is all Alex Cora. Alex Cora's a god. No, he's not. This is just a hot streak. Again, and not only did they face the Orioles for 6 out of the first 9 games, they lost 3 of the 6. Let's just stop the overreacting with the Boston Red Sox. But also in the league right now, the Kansas City Royals are leading the AL Central with a 9-6 record. We saw the potential of this team. They've got a good lineup. They've got Benintendi in there on addition. They've got Salvador Perez. They've got Whit Merrifield, Jorge Soler. They've got guys in that lineup that can hit. And that pitching staff, Danny Duffy, 2-0 with a .75 ERA, starting the season off. That's phenomenal. And even their number 1 starter, I'm trying to think of his name, Brad Keller, he's struggled, and they've still been pitching well. So I really like this team, and their bullpen's very good as well. So, and last year, I forget the exact number, but I think they've had 50 plus or 60 plus consecutive wins when they're leading from the 8th inning on. So that's always been their formula, dating back to when they won World Series. They lock games up no matter who's out in that bullpen. And again, we can't look at the Red Sox and say, oh, they're going to fall off, and not say that about the Royals. The Royals aren't going to keep doing this. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to win the division, but they give fans hope because they've got the tools in that lineup. You've got guys that can hit, and that pitching staff is pretty useful.
Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about earlier, it's, if we're talking 60 games, you look at it, you're already 15 in, and you go, oh, wow, we have 50 something games, 45 games left. And then you go, okay, well, these are your teams. I'm just going to sit back and wait. That's why I'm not analyzing, the beginning of the season too much. Yes, every win counts. We talk about it in hockey and every sport. Every win you can get early on helps out tremendously. So when you're playing that playoff baseball, quote unquote, come July, August, when those games really matter and the standings get crunched, it helps winning like 20 games early in the first 20, 30 games. But we can't hold on the hope that the Red Sox are going to fall off. Who knows? Maybe Kansas City has this formula that they're not younger guys are going to figure it out. I mean, you look at guys like Whit Merrifield, they're playing. He's hitting the ball well. Salvador Perez, Nicky Lopez, Carlos Santana. So
Hunter Dozier too. Yeah.
I mean, so you look at they have talent on this team, but it's, can you keep it sustained? So that's what you look at. You look at this 162 season, break it down in sets of 40. And if you're going 20 and 10 and 30 or whatever, however you want to break it down, it's so early. Teams are figuring it out. It's a long season. It's good for these. It's good to see these teams like the Mariners, the Royals, Boston, who was in the cellar last year. It creates some parity in the league, and you like to see teams that aren't usually there competing early on. So it's good to see it. Hopefully the success continues, but there's teams that were projected to start out hot at the gate that have kind of struggled. The same with the Braves, the Yankees. So it's been a weird, odd early part of the season, but I don't see this trend continuing at all.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Again, it's cool to see. It's great for Royals fans, but it's not going to continue. And if it does, good for them. But here's what I want to talk about: this Dodgers Padres series. Dodgers took 2 out of 3. I was watching parts of all 3 games, maybe not as much on the Sunday game, but I watched a little bit of Friday and Saturday. I was watching baseball that I was actually having fun watching baseball, watching these games. I mean, these guys were getting clutch hits. It was exciting. It was just actual baseball. I was watching actual baseball, and Tatis coming back off of injury, homering. They lost the game, but still hitting a home run. He's an electric player. But the main thing that I wanted to point out with the Padres is they hit with runners in scoring position so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's a novelty. And this is another thing. Why didn't Cashman go out and get Machado and he paid for Stanton? Machado right now with runners in scoring position, 286, 5 RBIs, a double, a home run. Eric Hosmer, he was hitting over 700 with 11 RBIs with runners in scoring position at one point in Friday night's game. So they know how to hit in clutch situations. And that pitching staff, man, Darvitt, we were talking about it early on. We didn't even think it could be this good because Joe Musgrove, he throws that no-hitter. His ERA, I think it's still under 1. You've got Dinelson Lamet coming back off the IL tomorrow night, coming back. He's going to be a big factor for them. You also have, of course, Darvish and Snell. So you got a 4-headed monster at the top with Paddock, figuring it out at the bottom. Mark Melancon has been locking it up at the end of games. Emilio Pagan having a rebound year. I always thought last year was a fluke. Some of those relievers, it was just like, let's throw it out. It's such little amount of statistics that Pagan was not going to go from who he was with the Rays to who he was last year. So Pagan's very reliable out there for them. But my main takeaway from the series was this is why the Dodgers are champs, because they know how to lock up games no matter how much they're down. I'm sitting and watching those games. I'm like, I am not scared for them. They can come back whenever they want. They've got anyone they want in the bullpen they could throw out. They got any starting pitcher. They're just so above everyone else that it's upsetting watching the Padres be so good. And they're eventually just going to run up against the Dodgers in the DS, and one of the two's got to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's so early. I mean, we are treated with 15 more of these games. I think the rest of the year. So this is going to be a fun season series to keep track of, and we got a small taste of what it's going to be like throughout the year, and if these teams were to end up in the division series against each other. But that Friday game I watched, intently, they found a way to claw back, fight, tied it up late. And then ultimately the Dodgers just had more at the end. And obviously, it ended 11-6, that stupid Texas tiebreaker thing. I'm not a fan. It's ridiculous. I think too many, it doesn't prove who the better team is in that game. I get it. They want games to go quicker, but this Padres team I think they're the one team that can stand in the way of the Dodgers and dethroning them on their championship, repeat, their defense, because they have it all. They can hit. They have back-end bullpen help. And obviously we've talked about their starting pitching enough, but you hit it right on the head. It's the Dodgers, just when you watch them, they just have this, I think, they kind of took the monkey off the back, winning that championship last year. Granted, it's asterisk year, but they have the feeling of winning, and they're not afraid. Anyone that's won isn't afraid of losing. And you can see that on their faces. And I think a lot of guys are going out there with conviction. Mookie Betts in center field, Clayton Kershaw pitching lights out like he did last year, picking up right where he left off. You add Trevor Bauer to the mix. So it's sad to see because the Padres are so stacked. They're a young team. They're very vibrant, but it's just going to take so much energy to beat them. It took them 8 innings for Tommy Pham to get the leading base hit in the season finale to beat them. And it's like, it was exhausting for them just to squeak one out. Granted, game 2, Mookie Betts has a great diving catch. That ball lands, it's tied, and we're going to extras for the second night in a row. But it's been fun. The best baseball I think I've watched all season long, other than the Rays beating down on the Yankees. But it's been fun. I think if you're not a fan of either team, you could sit down and watch 9 innings and go, wow, this is electric. Both teams hate each other. There was a bench clearing. There wasn't a brawl, but there was an altercation.
Yeah, what did you think about that? Did you watch the John Boy breakdown of it? The lip.
What happened? I was watching it. I stepped away, and all of a sudden I see the two two teams they were all out of the dugout and a fan ran on the field or some shit. And I was like,
Man ran on the field. Oh,
you didn't see that? Some fan ran on the field as they were all the benches cleared. It was hilarious.
my
But what
God, I didn't
what
even
happened?
know.
Did
No,
someone get hit?
No. So what happened was, I'll send you the link to the John Boy because he does the lip readings and they're fantastic. It's like being in the conversation. And Profar was 2 strikes, or I don't know what the count was. It doesn't matter. He was swinging and missing at a pitch, but you could tell. So I'll do it on YouTube for listeners just to explain it. He gets here on his swing, but the ball's already in the catcher's glove, and then he bends his bat back to touch the glove, and he gets
to get catcher's interference.
Right. And Kershaw's out there. He's like, that's catcher's interference. What are you doing? And Profar flips out. He's like, I wasn't trying to do that. I was, jetting out and everything. And Kershaw's like, check the replay. And then
because then I saw him at first base, and then he was yelling into the dugout. And I caught the tail end of that, but I just didn't know if that was the incident. It's bad blood. Those two teams hate each other, and if I was in the mound and I saw that, I'd be pretty heated too, because obviously it's a free base runner, and that's an out right there.
Do you think it could possibly be on like mid swing being like, okay, let me bend the bat back? Because there was a big leaguer on Twitter. He was like, I don't know if I can accuse him of doing anything because it's such a fast play.
It's hard to do. Like you said, you can try to do it. It was funny because we would talk about it in high school about guys. Like if we were facing a guy who was just dealing, trying to steal a base runner, maybe try to go back in the box and try to do it. It's impossible. It's almost, you can't even calculate it to do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's just guys are throwing 98. They're trying to catch it to a fastball. I think it's all fair game. I don't think he meant to do it. It just looked like it. But I think you just move on from it if you're Kershaw.
Yeah, well, he went on to have a pretty damn good game. He's had a great season. But what do you think? I mean, your dude got into a brawl too that blew up the baseball world. It was your guy, Jake Woodford. You played with him in high school. And so basically Castellanos hits a home run. He pimps it. People are heated up, whatever. Castellanos comes into home plate. I believe he slid in. And then he got up over Woodford and he like pimped on him. And he was like, oh, look at me, putting his arms out, flexing and everything like that. Castellanos gets suspended. I don't buy it. I don't like the suspension at all. You could do anything in football, anything in baseball and basketball. Celebrate. Like this is what, and it roots back to Trevor Bauer too. They've tried to ding him multiple times for trying to engage with fans. And then he'll tweet out, baseball, let the kids play. So we had to cut out there for a quick second, but I was explaining Trevor Bauer's tweet. He said, baseball players try to interact with fans. They show emotion. Baseball serves suspension. And it's totally true. Players, they say, let the kids play. They don't let the kids play. So, I get why Woodford would have a total beef with Costa. I wouldn't want someone doing that to me either. But that's the point. You're supposed to piss off the other guy. It's showing emotion. It's showing people, oh, this can be fun. This can be tension in the game. So what did you think of that whole brawl?
Yeah, it was funny because obviously playing with Woody for a year and a half. I was a sophomore when he was a senior, but taught me a lot of things on the mound. Like it was a guy you looked at, he threw hard in high school. He's like, you knew this guy was going somewhere. He was a Florida commit, got drafted. It was fun to see him and Tucker were the same draft class, and to see those two guys play. But Woody's a big dude. I mean, this guy, I believe he's 6'3", 6'4". So he's a big dude. And Castellanos is massive as well. So when I saw the clip of him sliding into home and he shows him up, yeah, it's a little banner. It's like, Castellanos got beamed. He didn't like it. He scores on him. They're face to face. He goes, "What's up with it?" Hey, like there's a little jawing, and then he gets suspended for it. I mean, come on, like that's selling Castellanos threw a haymaker at him, and it's like, okay, well, he just sucker punched him. Let's give him a suspension. It's like, yeah, it's just they're just chirping, and it's. I look at hockey and like a game that it has so much viewership because the game's never changed. They let the guys play. They let the animosity just play out on the field. In baseball, you don't need to have obviously Amir Garrett going over here and fighting the whole bench and fist fighting on the field, but let him go a little bit. I mean, it's part of the game. at times I think the game needs those kind of incidents because it gets heated, and baseball can be boring at times where it drags on. You're like, wow, give the fans something to see. And it was just he spoke a piece of his mind, and I think it was something that just didn't need to be suspendable or a fine thrown here or there. So I think baseball is a little petty in that regard. Obviously, when a massive brawl happens, people do get suspended. Do I think it's warranted? No. I think that's just part of playing a sport. You're competitive. You want to win and beat the tar out of your opponent. But I thought that was pretty funny to see him, a guy that I played with, getting into it. Obviously, Tucker's played at the higher level for longer with the Astros, so he's obviously gotten his fair share of crap from the sign stealing scandal and stuff. So it's cool to see these guys.
Well, did you play with Tucker too?
Yeah, he was on the same. So yeah, he it's funny. I give him a hard time if I ever see him. I'd send him a DM, and I was like, yeah, you still couldn't hit off me in high school, because he couldn't. He'd be like, dude, I cannot hit off you, man. I just throw him curveballs, change ups down and away. Just couldn't do it. Couldn't square it up. But yeah, I play with both those guys, and they were just nice, just world class guys. And to see him doing well at the top, it's funny. But Tucker got, obviously involved with he has that lingering with the Astros and the whole banging on the trash can. I don't know.
I mean, he's never talked to it with you about it?
No, I don't think most of those guys would never say it if they were a part of it. But I mean, he was on the team at the time, so I don't know what happened. No one would ever say anything. It's like giving out classified codes, but
yeah,
something was up there for sure. But
hey, well, you never know. 30 years from now, high school reunion, you just go, hey, what went on over there? Maybe he'll be a little more free. But he's a great player. Regardless, I mean, he had a great year last year. I'm not going to trash him, but I'll trash the rest of the team instead. But anyway, so you look at the AL West, and by the way, AL Central: Indians 8-7, White Sox 8-9, Twins 6-8, Tigers 6-10. Not really worried about the White Sox. You're 500. Lance Lynn hitting the IL now. He's only gone for one start. Without Eloy Jimenez, who they didn't think would not be in their lineup, just a little period of adjustment for them. Not worried at all. They're too good not to win. And they have guys too. They're not homer or nothing either. They got Tim Anderson at the top. Moncada hits to all fields. Grandal, Abreu hits everywhere. So that, I'm not worried about their offense come important game time, like I am with the Yankees and some other team. But, the White Sox, they're going to keep heading up. AL West, Mariners leading at 11-6. Another thing probably not going to keep going on. Kyle Lewis, Rookie of the Year, getting activated today. So they've been doing this all without him, which is pretty impressive. And they still have Kelenic, the number, I think, 9 prospect in baseball, waiting in the wings, outfielder. And he might come up this year as well. And it's funny, Jared Carabas tweeted out last night, are the Mariners for real? And Mariners pitcher Justice Sheffield responded. He just said, yeah. So we'll see how that ages. I think it could be an old takes exposed type of thing, but hey, good for them. They're young. They've got hope. We talked about that too in the AL West preview pod. They had more hope than some of those other teams.
Yeah, and they're a team that, I touched on it briefly, is when you're not expected to do well and people go, oh, it's the Mariners, or oh, it's the Tigers, it's the Royals. You kind of play with that chip on your shoulder a little bit. And not that they have nothing to lose. Obviously, you have everything to lose, the game, standings, being in last place, your pride, but they're playing with a team that has nothing to lose. They're going out and playing every game going, hey, we're going to be aggressive. We're getting guys over. We're attacking pitches early in counts. And they just manhandled the Astros this past weekend. So yeah, they're playing house to fire. But how many times have we seen the same story with the Mariners, though? I think a couple years ago, last full season, they started the MLB's best. I think it was 13-2, ended up being the worst team in baseball. So can they keep up this winning trend? I think they can if they keep the right mindset. They're young enough where, hey, we're just going to keep approaching every day like it's a new day. They just kind of, one game happens, hey, we're moving on to the next. We're not looking back. We're not looking forward. We're focused on one game at a time. And it's a good mindset to have right now. But I'm rooting for them. I want to see them make the postseason. It's been so long since they've had a really good ball club and made it. But it's a tough division to win in. I think you have Oakland, who's playing better baseball after the 0-6 start. Texas is playing 500 baseball. And then you have the Angels, who maybe have they figured something out? I don't know. They're playing decent enough baseball, but it's just so early to tell right now what's going to happen. But most teams, if you're staying around 500, you talk about the White Sox. If you're right around 500, a couple games above, come All-Star break, 3 games out of the division, you're in great shape. It's not a sprint to the finish, but it's fun to see, like I said, teams that aren't usually there up at the top. But I'll be rooting for the Mariners. It's something different for sure. A young team, unsuspecting. Hopefully they can keep it up.
Yeah, and Mitch Haniger, 319, 4 home runs, 14 RBI, has been injured for a lot of years. And then they got Justice Sheffield in that rotation, 4.86 ERA, but he's doing his job. They've got Yusei Kikuchi, who this year he is, 4.74 ERA. So their pitching actually hasn't been that great. They've just been winning games. So that shows you, probably going to die down a little bit. They don't have a number one starter because Marco Gonzalez, who's supposed to be their number one, it's got a 6.04 ERA. So it's going to die down eventually, but it's just good to see some of these teams not giving up from game one.
And they played the Dodgers. They beat the Dodgers last night 4-3. And
there you go.
Real quick, they're down 1-0. Top of the ninth, the Dodgers, 2-game set, 1-0. 2 hits for the Dodgers and 1 hit for the Mariners. So just a defensive and pitching duel there, but they're playing good baseball. And it's, hey, if you see those little things, you're playing the best team in baseball tight. Now you got to go to the East Coast and play Boston. Little things like that go a long way in a season, especially for a young team. But that's pretty much all I have for the Mariners there.
Well, I just mentioned Marco Gonzalez. He's the one that held the Dodgers to 1 hit, 7 innings, 1 earned, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts, 2 hits total. That's impressive. Rebounded right there. That's for sure. So, and he's going to be trade bait. Him and Haniger, 29, 30 years old, get them out of there, get some more prospects. But that's what the Mariners looking like. But yeah, Angels, Ohtani, you saw that home run. I mean, his first home run of the year was an absolute nuke shot.
Moonshot.
Unreal. I mean, and he has the top exit velocity and I think the hardest thrown pitch of the year. So it's just, and CC Sabathia said it on R2C2. He said, I've been saying for years, if he puts it all together, he's an MVP. I mean, throws 100 miles an hour and hits home runs like that. I mean, it's really, we've never seen him do this for a full season. I really want to see it.
Yeah, and people were freaking out. I think it was the last spring training outing he had, and he got shelled. I was like, dude, this people need to calm down. Spring training, he's getting his stuff figured out. Comes out for his first start of the year and it throws a gem. And on top of that, he's helping his own stat line and getting the win, hitting homers, doing it. He's a complete package, and that we haven't seen that kind of 1-2 punch in the league in a while. A pitcher being able to hit for power, play the field as well. So I think if he stays healthy, that's the biggest thing you got to bank off of, staying healthy, because obviously he's been bitten with the injury bug early on in his career. Hopefully that arm stays healthy, and don't overwork him. If you're the Angels, and I think Joe Maddon's smart enough, don't put the workload on him too early. Let him figure it out. If you need to pull him early, do it. Don't make him throw complete games, 8 innings, pushing the limit. So I'm rooting for the guy because I think the game of baseball needs it. He's could be a Mike Trout superstar. Having 2 of those guys on the same team, it's unreal. It's a storyline, especially on the West Coast. You have the Dodgers, and then you have the Angels picking up pace. So I think the game needs more guys like Ohtani, Trout, Bellinger, Betts. So it's something you really like to see as a baseball fan.
No, absolutely. And this AL West is pretty wide open. And we thought maybe it'd be a little bit more disparative, but Texas is bad. Mariners are going to slip. But if you've got the Angels in there, mixing it in, winning games, taking some from teams just to make it interesting. I mean, the A's, they started off 0-6 or 0-7, and now they're 9-8. And I think they're at the top of the division, or second place. Sorry. So they've got it going. And, the Astros are not overwhelmingly better than everyone else. They're just not. They've lost. Now, they did have a few guys. They had the COVID thing. Some guys have had to sit. That's why they've slid a little bit. But they're a good team making the hit, but their pitching is suspect. But the next division we got is the NL East. And the team I wanted to point out was the Phillies, because We've been, we kind of see them as like a 500, maybe 85, 88 win team, somewhere in there. And the thing is that they've gotten Nola and Wheeler so far to pitch really well. Nola 1-1 with a 2.19, Zach Wheeler with a 1-2 record, 3 ERA. So if you've got a legitimate 1-2 punch, because going into the year, I didn't think Wheeler was that guy, but it looks like it now. And if you've got that 1-2, and they're 3-7 in their last 10 games after starting out 6-1, I think. But Alec Baum, he's going to have a monster year. He's like 6'5". I've seen a home run he's hit this year. He's going to be an absolute stud. So if you've got Baum, Harper, Real Muto, Didi, McCutcheon, you got some guys in that lineup that can hit. And if you've got 2 out of every 5 days that you're confident in to win, you got to get one of those other 3 starters to win on those games, and you'll be pretty okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think early on you've seen the keys to their success. It's scoring runs and backing up with not great pitching, but obviously you've had Noah and Wheeler that have come out and just pitched lights out. That won't stay consistent throughout the whole year. That's like with any ball club. You're not going to have your ace go out there every night and really just mow guys down. You're going to need to lean on your offense, which they can do. They have all the pieces. Bryce Harper, you have Didi, Bohm. I mean, let me look at it. They're a good team. It's just consistency for me when I watch the Phillies. They're fun to watch. They have everything they need to be a winning team. You have the right manager behind the bench. So I just think it's staying consistent. It's not having that one lapse in the season. That seems to always kind of kill them. It's right. They're playing good enough baseball. You're right around 500. You're right where you need to be. You're in the thick of the wild card race. And then all of a sudden, boom, you have a 15-game stretch where you go and 4-13 or something like that, and it's like, well, that kind of puts a damper on what you've been building up all year. And that's any ball club in the major leagues. It's if you have a bad 20-game stretch, you put yourself in a really precarious situation. But for them, it's just staying right around 500, because I think this division is going to beat each other up. The Mets, the Braves, the Marlins they're a team
they're pesky.
They're that's the great word to use, because they have enough tools, they're not enough young guys, but they're not quite there. I think when you play a full slate of games to really kind of take hold of a playoff spot. But they're hard to play against. They've given the Braves a run for their money so far early in this year, and I just think this division is going to be one kind of like the AL East, our division. I think we're going to beat each other up, and the NL East is going to beat each other up, and I think the winner is going to be right around 92 games. It's not going to be anything crazy, because you have enough talent on each team that you can't really you have no easy games in division. So I think for the Phillies, it's just staying the course. They have everything they need to do to win, be successful. I think you go and get one more starting pitcher, then I really would consider them as a threat over in that division, or at least making a postseason berth.
Yeah, because it's not, Eflin, Matt Moore, and Chase Anderson's not going to do it for 162, and not for the playoffs either. But the Mets have looked good too. Stroman has been on fire. I think his ERA is under 1 as well. DeGrom obviously has been fantastic, and they have the problem where they can't win when he starts, but they're 7-4, so you can't complain. Excuse me, but Jeff McNeil's been struggling a little bit, but the rest of their bats in that lineup, and Conforto's been struggling too. And I just picked him up on waivers in my who drops someone like that after 10 games? I was like, are you kidding me? He's on waivers right now. But Conforto, Nemo, Alonso, Lindor. By the way,
John VR.
Oh yeah, stud muffin right there.
He's batting like 270 right now.
There you go. But hey, Lindor though, man, what have we been saying? 189, no homers, 2 ribbies. He's overrated, period.
It's crazy. We have this weekly debate in our little group chat with Audiel, and it's like, Lindor is just, I don't know. I don't see what he just signed the ticket for, like 3 something.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
more than Stanton and more than Machado.
Yeah. And those guys produce way more. The numbers are there. And you have Lindor batting 189 in 37 at-bats, no homers, 2 RBIs, and his OPS is 557.
Oh, God.
So I don't know. That's hard to That's hard to look at and swallow if you're a Mets fan. I'm sure on the other side of New York, if you're a Yankees fan, you're sitting in your seat just like laughing because you're like, wow, he just robbed these guys. And I don't know. You'll see. I think the real number is 200 ABs. Once you get 200 at bats in, that's who you are on the year. That's a pretty solid number. So he's still got a ways to go before we really know what kind of ball player he is this year. But we've been saying it every preview pod, positional rankings. It's just he's not the guy that will overwhelm you. He's a good enough shortstop, yes, but he doesn't overwhelm me at the plate. If I'm a pitcher, I'm not afraid of Francisco Lindor beating me in a late game situation or in the clutch.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. I mean, the numbers don't show it. He hasn't done it recently. It's been since they were on playoff runs that he was Mr. Clutch, and he's got to prove it, especially in New York. And that's something that he's going to feel because now that he's got the contract, that New York media, like you said,
Fans
200
too,
ABs in. Yeah, Mets fans are brutal. I mean, he'll be in the ringer with the media on the front page. It'll be Lindor robbery or something like that.
Yep.
You got to prove it in New York.
Exactly. I mean, your Yankees were getting booed off the field on Sunday. I mean, the fans are getting so restless. They're throwing baseballs on the field. I'm like, what is going on? Like,
yeah, Kevin Cash said something funny too. That they were like, "Were you worried that any of your players are going to get injured?" He was like, "I was looking at some of the arms of these people, and not really."
I was like, what is going on? Because the umpires were like, get off the field, and like, what is going on? But yeah, back to the main point. It's like the New York media, the fans. It's adapt or die over up there, man. It's like if you don't perform, you're gonna hear it, and I think the fans just they don't have much tolerance for anything because it's a big market. You're getting paid so much money to do your job and to severely underperform like Lindor's doing. Give it 2 more weeks. I think we'll call it the Lindor watch. We'll keep everyone posted because I'm always checking back to see what he's doing because you want the guy to do well because he's getting paid so much, but it's not looking too good over there.
No, it's not at all. And also we can look at the NL Central real quick. I'm so bored by this division. It's just whoever wins it's going to lose in the playoffs. And, the Cubs can't hit at all. The Pirates are the Pirates. The Cardinals can't hit either. Yachty's having a great year. But yeah, it's like we know the Reds aren't going to win the division. We know they're not going to win in the playoffs. It's just such a boring division.
Yeah, there's not one team that really catches my eye there. I mean, everyone's so close right now. I mean, Milwaukee doesn't really have that like kind of they're.
They've got Woodruff and Burns. Like Corbin Burns is an under 1 ERA. Like they got those two, but they can't hit either.
Yeah, so I think it's really hard to tell. I'm going to keep saying it this year for us at least to analyze and break down situations, numbers, and everything because we just got off a shortened season, and now I think teams are really feeling it. I even watch it with the Rays, and I'll check in. I have the MLB package, and I'll go and watch late games where teams are trying to figure out their back end of their bullpen, like because last year you could use arms, whenever you wanted to because you were in such a small season. Now you can't go out there and throw your relievers 5 nights in a row because they're going to blow their arms up come game 65. So in this division, it's really I don't have a clear favorite or who I want to win. I would say the Reds just because it's different, but they're kind of fun to watch on offense. So
yeah.
It's a really boring division overall. I mean, you have just really no pop, no stardom really in that division other than the Cubs, I guess, with Rizzo and Baez and whatnot. But yeah, very early stage this year. We'll see how it all unfolds. But I'm excited. Baseball's back though. I got something to watch every night. It's like I can turn the TV on. There's something going on. So
yeah, man, that's the best part about it being back. You got something to watch every night. I got my Yankees starting right now, although I'm probably not going to turn it on right away. But real quick, I said we were going to complete the other podcast, the last podcast that we did. Steve, I forgot to warn you. I'm just going to go through it really quickly. Top 10 center fielders, right fielder. I'm just going to go through the list quick as possible. So center field is kind of weak. Based on last year at least, and over the last few years, really. Number 10, I had Laureano from the A's. Down year last year, year before was really good, top 5. And so far this year, he's been good again. So you're starting to see already some of these guys. 2020 may have very well been a fluke for basically everybody. Number 9, Luis Robert, didn't have too good of a year. I literally put him there because of who I think he's going to be. I think he's the number 3 prospect in baseball going into the last year. I like him a lot. I have Starling Marte from the Miami Marlins at number 8. Kyle Lewis coming back tonight, activated off the IL, defending Rookie of the Year from the Mariners at 7. Number 6, I have Verdugo from the Red Sox. Really good hitter. I mean, really good advanced stats. 294, 12 and 44 and 19 last year, 308, 6 and 15. So this guy's good. Ian Happ, top 5 center fielder. Not many think of him like that, but he is. He hits for power. He gets on base. Brandon Nimmo at 4, steals bases, gets on base. He's a leadoff hitter for the Mets. A lot of people were like, is he really a leadoff hitter? This year he's proven it. He's hitting over 400. Number 3, I have Bellinger. Number 2, I have Springer. And number 1, I have Trout. I have Bellinger at 3 because he had a down year in 2020. Springer, he does it every year. And, listen, he's a world champ too. So, you're kind of comparing who's had the better career. Springer's been more consistent over a longer period of time. Bellinger obviously has the best year individually in his MVP year over everyone. But I have Springer totality-wise over him. Right field very quickly. I got Kepler at 10, Castellanos at 9, Teoscar Hernandez at 8, Charlie Blackmon at 7, Conforto at 6, Judge at 5, Harper at 4, Acuna at 3, Betts at 2, and Juan Soto at 1. And I have Soto over Betts. I get it. Betts has won a championship, but so has Soto. They're both world champions. Soto has been like Barry Bonds at the plate. 490 on base percentage last year. Year before that, 401, 351 average, 37 RBIs in 47 games. Just insane. You can't not put him at 1. I get it. I love Mookie Betts. They just happen to both be right fielders. And Acuna too. I mean, amazing year last year. This year before he went down, he's day-to-day right now. But this year he's hitting over 400. Super. He's hit a bunch of home runs so far, I think 7. So look for him to continue. And then starting pitchers, I'm not going to do them because it's, I guess, top 5. I had Bieber at 5, Kershaw at 4, Bauer at 3, Cole at 2, DeGrom at 1. Everything after that, it's kind of like shortened season affected it. Can't really judge it. But what do you think of those top lists? I know it was a lot at once, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think we usually tend to have our lists are the same. We obviously have a few guys that are on the outside looking in, differing there. But I mean, the outfield is pretty much set. I mean, we were talking about doing a one combined list of outfielders, but I think you have it's set in stone with I liked your list. I wouldn't really tweak it too much. Obviously, if I had it in front of me, I could move guys up and around, but overall, I think it's pretty solid. I mean, obviously you have the Trouts, the Bettses, the Sotos that the top outfitters in the game. And then you have your middle of the pack guys. But yeah, for starting pitchers too, we could do one for, kind of just if we're just screwing around, we could do it. But it's just so hard with the numbers, and it's so many guys are mixing in and out, especially with the shortened year last year. You don't really get a true gauge of what these guys are, because some guys had great years and only had a few starts. And now we're going to get a full slate of the aces are going to get 20, 25 starts in this 162 years. So definitely that's something to look forward to if we wanted to do it. Rank top 20 pitchers or relievers. I think relievers is fun because you can really dissect, who's the top of their game. And that's one position where it's really consistent year in, year out basis. And you're only using them in specialty situations. So we could definitely do that next pod if we wanted to.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just hold off what I was going to say about starting pitchers, but I mean, I guess I could say, I mean, I had Verlander and Strasburg in there in my top 10, even though they didn't pitch. Cause I'm like, when they're on the mound, they're top 10 pitchers.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me they're not. And I'm not going to put Max Fried in my top 10 cause he had a 2 ERA in 56 innings,
Yeah, I mean, he had a great year for what it was worth. But yeah, you look at Verlander, Strasburg, Scherzer, guys like that. I mean, when they're on the mounds, yeah, maybe they don't have the best numbers, but they've been the best of their position, if not the best, one of the best in the last 5-10 years. And Verlander's done it for his entire career. So Yeah, starting pitchers, it's very it's staying healthy too. Most guys, you look at some starters that miss 5-6 outings, and then they get skewed that way. So very hard to tell, but it is what it is. It's baseball. Stuff like that happens.
Yes, sir. All right. So I'm going to regretfully, I mean, here's the thing. The good thing about the baseball season starting and the Yankees being slow, I got hockey at the same time. So I'll have that on the big screen. The Yankees are reserved to the little laptop screen on mute tonight. I can't deal with it. Can't listen to it. Can't really watch it. I will just lightly follow it. But the Rangers, big games coming up over the stretch.
Need it.
They do. I mean, they really do. They got a tough stretch up ahead. They're behind the Bruins, and the Bruins have games in hand, or they have games that they have to make up, whatever. So it's going to be fun. And Steve was not on the last Strictly Hockey, but he'll be on the next one. I don't know when we're doing it, but it'll be relatively soon. And CJ is going to try and come on that as well. We did the baseball today, so we'll be back in a week or two. Strictly Sports. Hey, the NFL draft's in 9 days. So I know CJ is going to be mock draft central in a few days, getting ready for that.
You sure you don't want to do a FAU baseball pod?
No comment.
I thank God we have pro baseball back, because I was beside myself. I jinxed it. When I was at Florida, I was like, if we suck the rest of the year, I have this. And of course it comes to fruition, and just awful. I just wanted to plug a little quick FAU baseball. I mean, obviously it's been a struggle this year. It's not over yet. We have one chance to make it in, and that's the conference tournament. Does it happen? I don't know, but you string a few wins together and find your game late. It's not over. I'm still keeping track of it. It's a hard pill to swallow, looking at this box score every day after they play, because I don't have time to keep up with it. It's bad baseball.
Yeah.
Unfortunate injuries, but still rooting for them. I'm still got a solid team coming back next year. It's not over yet by any stretch, like I said, but had to throw that in there. It's been hard to keep track. We were so high on them early, and just kind of didn't go our way this year, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. You know, there's a lot of good guys over there. Mitch Hardigan obviously came on the show. He's a great guy, and he's had a great season himself. But you know, the team is just when you lose 2 out of 3 your 3 weekend starters, that's what's going to happen. When pitching was already going to be a little bit of a struggle, and you and I got to do those games. We're going to do the final 3 games of the year against Southern Miss, which are probably going to be pretty big games, seeding wise, and how they seed into the tournament. And that'll be May 14th through the 16th. Steve and I will be on the call on FAU Radio, so that'll be a lot of fun. And I think actually, because I'm graduating after fall semester next year, these will be my last 3 games doing FAU baseball, which is kind of sad, but I've enjoyed it a lot. Steve and I will get to do it, and it'll be a lot of fun. So we're looking forward to that. And so that'll do it for this one. We'll update you guys on the pods coming up soon. Check the Twitter at Strictly Sports P. It's in the description as well. Facebook and Instagram at Strictly Sports Productions. You can look us up on YouTube at Strictly Sports Productions. Go in the playlist section on the channel. All 5 podcasts split up into playlist sections. And then you can look up each individual podcast on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. So for this edition of Strictly Baseball, for Steve Cashin, I am Jacob Brown, and we will see you next time.